thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky.
Alright, we are live. What is up, everyone? I've just realized that I forgot to add the chat. But what is up, everyone? Welcome to the the third video for FIFA World Cup Fantasy. There have been some new rules, so we're going to have a look at some of those new rules, talk about it, also talk about drafts, look at a couple of drafts, matchday drafts, talk about all of that. So if you are new, welcome to the Football Chatbox, and my name is Ryan, and welcome. If you're new, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're going to be covering a lot of World Cup Fantasy. If you want to join a mini league, the league code is right there at the bottom. It's VSRYXT7M. So if you want to join a mini league and you're looking to join one and you haven't joined one yet, well, we're here. And yeah, if we're going to take this a bit more chill, usually this mini league, but yeah, we're going to have a look at first the rules, because there have been changes to the rules. I don't know if people have seen the changes to the rules, but there have indeed been some changes. So we're going to have a look at what exactly those changes were, and obviously talk about how the game plays. Now, let me just make sure that I'm actually all good in terms of streaming. Everything is looking fine by the looks of it. Yes, it is. Sweet. It is. All right. Now, while we're here, let's have a look at some of the important stuff. Now, we know kind of all of this in terms of how many players per nation and all of that. That hasn't changed at all. Now, this is where we kind of get a bit more interested. You are able to add players to your team by pressing that, we know. Okay, here we go. Please note, captains can be changed during the tournament. For more information about the rules for changing a captain, please refer to the dedicated section below. Okay. You're able to make unlimited changes to your team up until the first match, which is the Qatar one. So before match day 1, you get unlimited changes, which is kind of what we know already. And then the players who you have selected for your team will either display as locked or unlocked once a match day has begun. These two states are determined as follows. So unlocked players are basically players display as unlocked when the team they play for has yet to play in the current match day. So, for example, if we were to go to this one actually, which basically shows you all the games. Let's say you had a player, let's take the England versus Iran game, right? Let's say you had Harry Kane in England, and let's say you had Bergwijn in Netherlands, right? They're playing on the same day. If in that specific case, while the England versus Iran game is going on, Harry Kane will be locked, but Bergwijn will be unlocked, right? But as soon as the games are done, or when like the Netherlands game comes to play, Bergwijn will be locked as well. So that's basically locked and unlocked. Players display as locked once the match of the team they play has begun in the current match day. So that's basically it. If a player is locked, you will see a padlock icon against them on both your team and in the player list. Certain actions in the game are either restricted or different depending if they are performed against a locked player. For example, transfers. The below section of this game guide will explain these scenarios in more detail. This is way more detailed in terms of what it is now compared to what I read the first time the game launched. Okay, so changing a captain. Now, Each match day, the player you choose as your captain will score double points. Okay. While ultimately only one player can score double points as a captain match day, you do have the option to change your captain after the match day has started according to the following rules. Now, you can change your captain an unlimited number of times between unlocked players, between two players who are both not played in the current match day. So, for example, you had your captaincy on, let's say, you had Kane and you had Bergwijn in your team, right? You had captaincy on one of the Qatar versus Ecuador players. No, actually, that's a very bad example. Let's go back again to you had your captaincy on Kane and you had it on Kane first, and then obviously you have Messi on Tuesday, right? As an example, let's say, or even let's just keep it to Bergwijn. You had Kane and Bergwijn, right, in your team. The England game hasn't started yet, but you have it on Kane. You're like, okay, I don't really want it on Kane. You can switch it to Bergwijn before the England game starts, or you can even switch it to Messi if you had Messi on the next day. Before obviously the England game starts. But if the England game starts and your captaincy armband is on Harry Kane, right? Then what happens is you can only switch to one other player who hasn't played yet. So if Kane didn't deliver in the England game, then you basically you can switch it to a Bergwijn before the Netherlands game starts, or you can switch it to a Messi. But you can switch it to Bergwijn, I think, only after the England game is done, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check that. Here we go. Changing your captain after he is locked. You have one opportunity each match day to change your captain after he is locked. That is example after his team has played their match. How in this situation you can only change your captain to a player who has not yet played in the match day. So basically, if you got Kane and you captain him and he doesn't pay out, you can switch to someone else who hasn't yet played. Once you confirm this change, you will not be able to change your captain again during the current match day. So, like I said before, if your captain has played once and you're not happy with it, you can only change the armband again one more time. But if you put the armband on someone the first time and they haven't played at all yet, you can keep switching it to different other players who are yet to play. But that's the only slight difference between the two. Change after the game. Also, Tin, welcome. So, like, if Kane is playing and Kane hasn't done well, you can change your captaincy after the game to someone else, to either someone from Netherlands just before the game kicks off, or even to someone else in the next day or the day after, depending on whether it's in the same match day. Hopefully that has kind of made sense. Please note in this scenario, you will not return the double points. Yep, that makes sense. Your new player will now score double points for a team. Please also note that double points from your previous captain will only be removed from your team score when the next fixture in the match day commences. Okay, yep, that makes sense. Player A is selected as captain. They play, score 10 points in your match day, becoming locked. As captain, these points will double to 20. Yep, makes sense. However, then you decide to change your captain to player B, who is unlocked. Again, once this change has been saved, player A's points will return to 10. Yep, makes sense. Even though player B is unlocked, you will no longer be allowed to switch captain to another unlocked player, as you have already made a captain change involving a locked player. Okay. Okay. Okay, so basically what from that is, again, I'm going to use Kane as an example. You've captained Kane, it didn't work out, or let's say it worked out and he scored one goal and you're not happy with one goal. You can only change it to one other player. Let's say in this example, you had Bergwijn and Messi. You have to pick one. If you put it on Bergwijn and the game hasn't started yet, you cannot switch it. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's say, for example, make a bit more better. It's on Kane. You can switch it to either Messi, again, Argentina plays Saudi Arabia, or you can maybe move it to even a Neymar, where Brazil play a bit more later on a Thursday. You have the option of switching to either one of them. You can only switch to one of them. If you pick Messi, you have to stay on Messi, even though both of them haven't played. You can't switch it to Neymar after that. So make sure that once you've selected that, you know that is who you want, and you'll have to just stick to that. That's basically what it says here. Because even though player B is unlocked, you will no longer be allowed to switch captain to another unlocked player, as you have already made a captain change involving that player. When player B does play Matchday, his points will be doubled. Yep. One final important guidance to changing captains. You will not be able to change captain from a locked player while the player's team is currently playing. You will need to wait for the fixture to conclude before initiating the captain change. Yep. So like you cannot change while the England game is going on. If you have it on Kane, you can't change it to another captain until the England game is basically done. You can only change your captaincy after that. So in this specific situation, for people in different time zones like myself, where the games are going at like, you have one at 9 p.m., you have 3 midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., we're not going to be in a position to be able to get up at like, let's say you have a captain on 3 a.m. and you want to then switch it to a 6 a.m. You're probably not going to be in a position to switch it to someone like that in those time zones. So if you're in a time zone like that, I would recommend maybe captaining another player for the next day. Don't try and switch it in the same day. That's probably not going to be possible. So maybe have a couple captaincy options for following days as well. If you're in different time zones that impacts you to be able to like watch certain games. Can switch on the same game day with a player that plays much later? Yes, you can. So for example, you can have it on an English player, but you have to wait until the game is done, and then you can either switch it to a Netherlands versus Senegal. You can switch it to someone there after that game, after the first game is done, or you can even switch it to a USA versus Wales if you wanted to. But you make sure that the first game is done, basically. So that's captaincy. Hopefully that has made sense for everyone. Now, substitutions. When creating a team, you must also select 4 players to be located on your bench. Which basically is similar to my team over here, where I have 4 players on my bench. Players on the substitution bench will score points each match day, but they will not count towards your score. Yeah, kind of makes sense. Become active in your team and replace your substitutes. Will become active and replace a did not play DNP player in your starting 11 automatically, only if you have not made any manual substitutions during that match day. Okay. Yeah, outfield. Okay. Your outfield bench players are prioritized 1 to 3, with the first priority substitute being the first to replace a did not player, providing it means a valid formation. Okay, fair enough. So you guys can swap. Can I swap like this? No, I can't. I wonder if the order, if the goalkeeper has to be here. No, not really, right? I'm sure the goalkeeper can. Well, I guess this has to be the goalkeeper. Let me go get him back. Wondering if the bench priority. Oh no, bench priority 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Goalkeeper is on this side. That's fine. So something similar to FPL in that specific case. Automatic substitutions will only happen at the end of the match day. Fair enough. Manual substitutions can be initiated by a user during the match day. A manual substitution is only when you sub out a locked player from your lineup for an unlocked player from your bench. So basically, if you have a player now, I have here Khazri, right, from Tunisia. Tunisia, when do they play? They play on a Tuesday, right? I have also in the same situation, I've got, let's say, Luke Shaw, who plays on a Monday. Now, if Shaw doesn't do well, I can swap him for Khazri in my team. If Shaw, let's say he gets 2 points, I can swap Khazri in, and Shaw will be transferred out. Shaw's points will be lost, and then Khazri will come in because he hasn't played yet, and the formation will also change. But you can only do those transfers if the formation is valid, right? You have to make a valid formation to be able to make certain transfers. So keep that kind of like in mind. Like, I can't do, for example, what can I like try to do? How can I break this? I can't think of a way I can break this at this moment. So I'll leave it. But yeah, you can only make valids. Just keep in mind that. I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't. It doesn't click to me right now, so forget about it. If you have an example, I mean, feel free to let me know. How are you able to wait. Similar to captains, you can make unlimited substitutions between unlocked players in the match day, which won't affect your eligibility to receive automatic substitutions at the end of the match day. That's fine. You are able to sub out a locked player from your lineup for an unlocked player on your bench. If you do this, you will lose the points for the sub player, like I just mentioned. This deduction will be applied when the next fixture in the match day commences. Okay, you will receive points for a subbed in player when they begin to play in the match day. Yep. As soon as you confirm a manual substitution, your team will be exempt from automatic substitutions at the end of the match day. Okay, you kind of have to keep this in mind. If you make a transfer and then you forget to make the other two transfers, and if someone here doesn't play, they are not gonna get subbed out, right? So if I did this Khazri in, Shard in, I have manually intervened into the substitutions, which means, let's say for example, Olsen doesn't play, and if I haven't made a substitution to get him out, where I don't bring in, let's say, a Sosa or the Arskata from Uruguay, if I don't bring them in, Olsen is still going to remain in my starting 11 because I've already initiated manual substitution by making a substitution before. The game would not transfer the player out, so keep that in mind. One caveat to manual substitutions is that you will not be able to initiate this while a locked player is currently playing live. Same thing like captains, you can't change it while they're live. You will need to wait for the fixture to conclude before initiating substitutions. Again, in this specific situation, if you're in a very different time zone, you probably want to, if you're in a different time zone and if you have players playing on the same days, just put them all in the starting 11 and maybe have your bench of players playing on other different days, if you're in a different time zone, that is. Once the tournament begins, these boosters, you will have the opportunity to use one of 3 available boosters. Now, wildcard, I've noticed, is quite different, so we're going to have to look into wildcard. Wildcard will allow you to make unlimited transfers within a specific round. 12th man will allow you to select one additional player outside of your existing round to score points for your team in a match day when selected. 12th man cannot be substituted, captained, or transferred. You can select any player to be your 12th man. Budget or team restrictions do not count here. I'm thinking of playing this chip, to be honest, in the round of 16. That's where I'm thinking. Maybe round of 16 is what I'm because if I'm going to play, like, I'm thinking wildcard, I play match day 2, 12th man round of 16. Oh, actually, no. Power captain round of 16 and then 12th man round in the quarterfinals, maybe. That's something I'm thinking. We'll have to wait and see. I haven't decided where I want to play that chip. You will not be able to reverse a booster once it has been confirmed, and a booster will remain active up until the end of the current match day. Fair enough. All boosters must be activated before the first fixture in the match day. Okay, that makes sense. So basically, before the match day starts, you need to activate your booster. Transfers. Okay, you will be given a limited allocation of free transfers to be used over the course of the World Cup depending on the stage of the tournament. The limit on how many transfers you can make for each stage and match day outlined below. Pre-tournament, unlimited. And then during the match days, you get 2. Before round of 16, again, unlimited. Round of 16, when it starts, you get 4. Quarterfinals, 5. Semi, 5. Finals and third place playoff, you get 6. During the group stage, 1 transfer can be carried over into the next group stage match day. However, due to unlimited transfer limit between the last game of match day 3 and the start of round of 16, you will not be able to carry a transfer over at this stage. Makes sense? During any stage of the tournament, you are able to exceed your transfer allocation for that round, but each additional transfer you make will deduct 3 points of your total points. So FPL is a -4 hit. Here you have a -3 hit. This deduction will be applied when the next fixture in the match day commences. Okay? Match day transfer allocations are unlocked at the start of the match day. And then when making transfers, you have 2 options. Transfer an unlocked player for another unlocked player. Yep. This transfer will be processed instantly and your new player will begin scoring points in the current match days. Now, why is this very interesting? Because you can wait for, let's say, team lineups. So you can take some punts on some players in this specific case. So you have 2 transfers in match day 1, right? For example, where is it? Okay, match day 1, you have 2 transfers, 2 free transfers. Say you wait for the lineup of Belgium versus Canada, right? And you've got Trossard in your team, and you don't know if Trossard is going to start or not, and you just kind of want to wait and see for the Belgium versus Canada lineup before the lineup comes out to see whether Trossard is starting or not. If you get to know that Trossard isn't starting, you can transfer him out for someone who's going to be playing on Thursday. and that transfer will happen immediately. So you can probably transfer, let's say, a Trossard out for some other midfielder who is playing on Thursday. Let's say from Brazil, for example, like a Fred or someone. In this, I think they're in similar price brackets. I don't know, but anyways, you get the idea. You can transfer Trossard out for someone on a Thursday, and they will play immediately on that match day, right? That's basically that. Option 2, a transfer involving a locked player. If you do this, the transfer will only become active for the next match day. Now, let's take, for example, again, let's say you had, who will be a very good example here? All right, let's take France, right? Let's say you have Mbappe from France. Mbappe doesn't score anything against Australia. He gets only. Abdurrahman, how are you doing? Who are you supporting? I don't know. Probably like I've supported Germany before, but I haven't decided yet. But I will have a think about that. Okay, my example of option number 2. Let's say Mbappe. You have Mbappe against Australia. Mbappe doesn't do anything, right? You want to transfer him out, and you want to bring in someone else. That player will only come into effect for the match day 2, which would be when from Friday onwards. That's the only difference. So a locked player who plays and you transfer them out, the new player who comes in wouldn't come in immediately. If you do this, the transfer will only become active next match day. Also, who are you supporting, Abdurrahman? Who are you supporting? Who will I support? I've usually I support Germany before. To be honest, I don't mind actually supporting Germany as well. But I'm not expecting too much for them this time. So we'll see. I haven't decided yet. I also like Denmark. Denmark is a very dark horse team. I don't mind seeing how Denmark do. If the player you transferred out was locked, you will keep the points they earn this match day. Yep. If the player you transferred in was locked, but your outgoing player was unlocked, you will still receive the points for your unlocked player when they play in the match day. Okay. However, you will not be able to make another transfer involving this player in the current match day. That kind of makes sense. One final caveat is that users will be unable to transfer out a locked player in match day 3. This is because after, yep, that doesn't make sense. Either type of transfer will come out of your current match day allocation. Kind of makes sense. But I am you're supporting Brazil, but you're rooting for Ronaldo too. Fair enough. I think Brazil are strong favorites for this year's World Cup. I think they should do well. Transfers can be reset once they've been confirmed. Yep, you will be able to roll over one unused transfer per match day. Yep. A match day at the FIFA World Cup is a round in which all active teams play once. Yep. Okay. Okay, so as soon as the match day starts, Qatar versus Ecuador, you'll get your 2 free transfers that you can use. So you can use those 2 transfers even within the match day, or you can carry it over. Now, if you're playing a wild card in match day 2, maybe you could probably take a couple punts on some punty players in match day 1 and just wait and see whether they start or not on the lineup. If they don't start, you can transfer to someone else. Match day ends at midnight AST on the day of the final fixture in the match day. Okay, fair enough. Match day 1 will conclude at midnight AST on Thursday, 24th November. I need to now check time zones because of this. Midnight AST. Bro, I need to now check time zones and see what time that is in, like, where I am. At which point the game will roll over to match day 2. You will unlock your match day 2 transfer allocations and you can start setting up your team for the next match day. Now, this is a very important point because if you're wildcarding in match day 2, you probably want to wait until this match day is done at midnight ASD. Match day 1 is done before you hit your wildcard chip. Probably, I think, just in case. Because I'm still unsure on how this wildcard chip is going to properly work. So you might want to kind of keep that in mind when playing your wildcard in match day 2. It's probably best to wait until match day 1 is fully complete and you know the deadline has passed and match day 2 has started, I think. I think. Let me just check again what boosters. Before the first fixture on match day. Yeah. Okay. So you have time before the first fixture in the match day to activate your booster. So yeah. Okay. Back to the scoring system. Scoring system, it kind of makes like we've already seen. Nothing too big. I guess you want attacking fullbacks, maybe attacking defenders because they get 7 points for a goal. So that's something you might want to keep in mind. Midfielders, every 2 key passes, they get 1 point. Every 3 tackles, they get 1 point. That's nice. Forwards, yep, that's fine. Leaderboards, that is nothing too worried about. Mini leagues, matchday schedule. Yeah, cool. That's basically this thing. Now, wildcard, it's not in here, the information, but this is what we kind of heard about the wildcard, and I'm going to bring it up because it was some crazy wildcard rule, which I'm going to try and find if I can. Here we go. Now, this was found by Andy Let's Talk FPL, and it is some crazy rule, but basically here's what he kind of said. Is you can wildcard for say matchday 2 as soon as matchday 1 is finished, and that wildcard will be active right up until the final game of matchday 2 has ended. So you could do the following: wildcard into a new team for matchday 2, use unlimited free transfers to transfer out any unlocked player for other unlocked players. So you can keep switching players every single day, basically. Then as the final game of matchday 2 starts and all players are locked, you could use your unlimited transfers from wildcard to transfer all those players out for players you want in matchday 3. So it's basically a free hit in matchday 3 as well. But you've got to do this as soon as the final game of matchday 2 starts. So you have within that time period to do it. And obviously until probably midnight of that match day to do it. Because then all the players are basically locked, and then you can bring in all the new players that you want. Essentially, one wildcard allows you 2 brand new teams if you use it in matchday 2 or quarterfinal, semifinal, basically. Only thing to clarify: can you transfer out unlock player A for unlock player B, then transfer out player B once they become locked for player C to own in matchday 3? B, then and he's basically said correct. So basically, free hit team. If you play a wildcard in matchday 2, you basically get a free hit team in matchday 1, free hit team in matchday 2, free hit team in matchday 3, and because there is unlimited transfers before the round of 16, you basically get another free hit team in matchday 4. Not really a free hit team in round of 16, but somewhat, because after that you get quite a lot of transfers. So yeah, that makes wildcard in matchday 2 really powerful, which means kind of changes how I look at my team now, because now I will be looking at my team and going, I kind of want to just focus a team for just matchday 1. So that's what I'm going to probably start doing. I'm going to be looking at a team for matchday 1. Right now, this is the team, what it's looking like. I've kind of taken feedback from you guys in terms of players you guys have suggested. Zodiac suggested Rochet. I bought Rochet in. And I think another suggestion was from Ian, who suggested this Uruguayan player, D. Arascate. I'm butchering his name, but now I've checked his fixtures. He's lost his place in the last few games, but like Ian mentioned during the qualifiers, he's been pretty well playing on that left wing spot. I checked SofaScore for him. So he'll be one of my punty players to see whether he actually plays or not. As a punt, 5.5 million punt. It's not bad. If he gets his players back or not, because during the qualifiers he's been pretty good. So I'll be interested to see how he does. In terms of other spots, I think I'm kind of happy with where I am at right now. Costa is probably the one that I'm kind of still... See, here's the thing. Because I'm wildcard in matchday 2, I can have Costa in goal because it's against Ghana. I don't really have to worry too much with regards to that. So I can probably do that. The rest of the team, I kind of like it at the moment. The one thing I'm like, I guess like I would ideally like some World Cup. I mean, Portuguese attackers if possible against Ghana. Big Nose Monkey, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? How's your day been? I would ideally like some Portugal players, maybe another Brazilian or another Argentina attacker. This is kind of the fixture difficulty rating from Fantasy Football Scout, so it kind of like helps me visualize what teams have good fixtures. Costa should be replaced with Schmeichel. Who are Denmark playing? Where are Denmark again? Here we go. Tunisia. He's 5 million as well. Fair enough. That's actually a good point. But Tunisia could be a very annoying team to play against. From what I've heard from Tunisia, they are one annoying team to play against, apparently. They will make the game a living hell, is what I've heard. So, could do it. That's a possibility. Mbappe or Benzema? I've gone Mbappe, but both are pretty good shouts, to be honest, Ruhil. And also, welcome to the Football Chatbox. Exusia, welcome. Di Maria or Modric? Modric is on set pieces. Di Maria did score a goal in the friendlies, and I think he should start for Argentina. Argentina are playing Saudi Arabia. That might be a pretty decent game. Modric is playing Morocco. It's hard to say. I don't mind Modric, but yeah, I mean, it's a very tight one. Di Maria also, I think Argentina will score quite a few goals. But Modric has set pieces. So it depends on what you want. I have Martinez in goal. Yeah, Martinez in goal. Fair enough. For Argentina, right? They should probably keep a clean sheet. My team looks very familiar to yours. Fair enough. I think this is where I am at right now. Right now, Exusia, I'll probably go Di Maria at the moment. Okay, so what am I missing? I guess I'm missing. If I look at this sticker, I would ideally like a Portugal attacker, but I can't get one at the moment. For Denmark, I've got Olsen instead of Christian Eriksen, which is not too bad. What about Suarez? For Uruguay, we can. So I was looking at one of so this is from Fantasypedia. Let me bring it up for you guys. So they kind of do like starting lineups and whatnot. Let me bring it up. And here. Okay, so they think. Okay, I think this is not. I think the keeper for Uruguay is going to be Rochet. But Suarez and Nunes, not a bad option. And like Ian mentioned, suggested their left winger could possibly start. I mean, Suarez isn't a bad option. How much is he priced at? Who is the penalty taker? Isn't so? It seems like okay. So Suarez is the penalty taker, so it's not a bad shout as well. It's not a bad shout. 7.5 million. It's not a bad shout. The only thing is he's a forward spot, so it depends on who you want to have in that forward spot. Right now, I prefer these three. I prefer these three players in my forward spot at the moment. But yeah, I have Moharami in my team. Iran is in very good form. I wouldn't be surprised if Iran pulls some upset against England. Who is Moharami? Oh, here we go. In defense, 4 million defender. Oh, that's not too bad. But I'm happy with my defense though. I look at my defense and I'm like, I'm very happy with this defense. Have you heard the news about Messi? Messi misses the start of open training just 2 days before the start of the World Cup. I'm not too worried about it right now because Argentina play on Tuesday. And if Messi isn't playing, I can basically switch to another player. If I see the lineup and if Messi is not playing in the first game, I'll just switch it to. I can probably switch it to Ronaldo if I wanted to for the Thursday game. Or I could switch it to even Richarlison, to be honest, if I get news that Richarlison is playing. So I'm not too worried about at the moment with regards to Messi. We'll wait and see. And DePaul, yes, DePaul is also nice. That's a good option as well. But is he very attacking though? I looked at SofaScore and I was like, the chances of attacking returns aren't there. Your thoughts on the underdogs for this World Cup or a team who perform out of expectations? I have Denmark. I think Denmark could be that underdog team. For me, Denmark is like that the dark horse team that I think they could pull out an upset. They probably might qualify from their group, and they could potentially pull out an upset. So if you have a look at Denmark's group, Tunisia, France, and Australia, I do kind of fancy Denmark to be able to come at least second in their group. So they might pull an upset. Suarez is at 7.5 million. Yes, he is. Iran right back, I think. Mahrami. Not too bad. What type of system do Iran play? Let me see if I can find from Fantasypedia. Where is this? Here we go. Yes, here we go. You are right. This is the Iran team. Mahrami, the right back. Like you said, the thing with Iran is, direct is possible with attack team play. Looking to play with their feet. Interesting. Could be a possibility, but it's against England, right? And if I'm wildcarding in Matchday 2, I don't really want. I want to be completely like sure of who I want, and I want my defender to be able to get a clean sheet. I don't know if they'll be able to get a clean sheet against England. That's the only problem. Is Varane a good pick for defense? I would prefer Pavard at the moment, just because of the fact that we don't know what Varane's injury status is at. Because of his injury, I'm not really sure whether he's going to be fit or not. So I would probably prefer Pavard or Lucas Hernandez. Lucas Hernandez or Theo Hernandez? Which, I keep forgetting which Hernandez actually starts. Let me just check. Who is their right back? France's right back. I keep forgetting. France's right back, it's Theo Hernandez, right? Yeah, Theo Hernandez. Sorry. Theo Hernandez is not a bad option. Pavard or Theo Hernandez, both at 5 million. I like Pavard. I mean, if you guys watched, I think the last World Cup was it last World Cup where he scored that insane goal against Argentina, if I'm not mistaken, Pavard. But yeah, so I'm taking Pavard at the moment. But Theo Hernandez, if you want as well, is another bad option. Not a bad option at 5 million. Silva, Cancelo, Trippier, Van Dijk. Is that your backline? Damn. That's not a bad backline. I might help consider players who have acclimatized. Yes, exactly. European teams are going to have a tough time in Qatar. I was watching some of the clips from England training, and they are struggling in the heat. The South American teams, some of the Asian teams, and African teams are going to find it a bit more easier in the heat compared to some of the European teams. That's something I might kind of consider. So Tin is kind of right in that specific situation. PSG attackers only. Fair enough. I mean, the thing is, all three of them are on form. That's the thing. Like, all three of them are doing really well in club and country as well. I think they should be pretty good. And again, I mean, I want Messi and Neymar to have them in the World Cup. Courtois, Silva, Cancelo, Trippier, Van Dijk, De Bruyne, Xhaka, Di Maria, Neymar, Messi, Suarez. How is it? Backline seems solid. Is Xhaka the set piece taker for his country? Everything else seems pretty solid. Suarez is not a bad option, to be honest, for Uruguay. My team is Martinez, Dumfries, Shaw, Pavard, Olsen, De Bruyne, Bergwijn, DePaul, Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. Bench is Morami, Mahel, Buduf and Rochet. That's pretty close to my team, basically. That's actually pretty close to my team. I could probably switch Khazri to someone else. I just don't know who. Ruhil, your team is also not too bad. Do you have any Dutch players though? You don't have any Dutch players, no? I expect Netherlands to do pretty decently again. I know Senegal is a tough game, but I won't be surprised with like Netherlands actually doing something decent. Rate this team from Aryan. How are you doing as well? Ward in defense, Ward in goal. I don't know if Ward is going to start in goal, so I probably wouldn't have Ward. Trippier, Dumfries, Mahil in defense, which is not too bad. DePaul, Eriksson, Bergwijn, Perisic, Olsen in midfield. That's a double Danish midfield. And attack, you got Messi and Kane. In the bench, you got Neymar, Cancelo, Sosa, and Costa. Thoughts on improvements? That's a strong bench, which I think should be fine completely. Ward is not going to play, so I expect Pickford to play for England. Apparently, this is a Uruguayan keeper, and he should be playing apparently. So I don't mind you giving him a go. This is what Zodiac also suggested. He should be playing, so I'll probably switch him instead of Ward. Ian, how are you doing? Saw you picked up De Aristocata. Yes, I did. I've taken your suggestion on board as my 5.5 million punt. And basically, what I'll do is, if we look at the lineup and we see that he's not starting, then I'll sub it out for some other player. I can do it because I'll be wildcard in Matchday too, so I'll have 2 transfers. So I don't mind punting on him. And if we get that he's not starting, switch it to someone else. Switch it to who though? I don't know. I'll have to find out a 6 million midfielder who I can afford. When do Uruguay play again? They play on Thursday. So I basically have to switch from Portugal or Brazil. Sheesh. Any Portugal? Let's have a look at a couple of options just in case. Portugal, 6 million. Can I find anyone? No one who's going to probably play, unfortunately. From who was the other one? Brazil. Will Fred play? I don't even know if Fred will play. Nice man. I also have him. Fair enough. You're the one who suggested. So if you don't have him, I'll be very surprised. I watched the Brazilian league, so I'm pretty familiar with him. He's one of the top players in the league. Okay. See, I went and checked the... let me bring it up. Right? Because after you mentioned, I actually went and checked Uruguay. So let me bring it back up. So, oops, wrong one. Here we go. So this is Uruguay's last couple of fixtures. So he's kind of lost his place in the recent lineups, I think. This is more recent, right? Yes. So he hasn't played here in any of the... Oh, he played here. The one they lost in Iran. Panama, he plays as well. USA doesn't play, but it's a friendly, so I don't really mind. Here also friendly, but knockout games plays. Does he play? No. Chile versus Uruguay didn't play. Peru, he played, I think. Yes, here you go. Peru played and got a goal. Against Venezuela, played and got a goal as well. So, I mean, not a bad shout. Let's see what happens. Let's see if he can actually do something. I'll be very interested. That's my current situation. Sunday Doha will be peak real feel 30 degrees heat. Yeah, I know. The heat is going to be high. I don't know how many water breaks they're going to have. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I wouldn't back against any of the other non-European nations because I think they will be a bit more used to that climate compared to the European nations. Thoughts on using 12th man in Matchday 1? Completely fine. I don't mind using it in Matchday 1. it's not a bad option. I'm not playing it because I'm playing this for fun, right? So I just want to kind of see where I'm thinking of using 12th man for me in round of 16. Sorry, in probably the quarters maybe. And then I'm thinking of using power captain in round of 16. But yeah, 12th man in match day 1 is also not it's not a bad option. You can, because then you can probably have a front line of Neymar, Messi, Mbappe, and a 12th man of Harry Kane, or maybe have Harry. Actually, no, you have Harry Kane and a 12th man of Mbappe, or a 12th man of Neymar. Probably a 12th man of Neymar, because that's Brazil is the last game, so you probably want a 12th man of Neymar instead, because if Mbappe doesn't perform, or you see that Mbappe is not starting, you can transfer him out to someone else. But yeah, it's not a bad option. Unless you can transfer out your 12th man. Can you? I need to check this again. Where is that boost is about 12th man? Select one additional player also takes. Oh yeah, cannot be substituted, captained, or transferred. Okay, so you basically want you probably have Neymar as a 12th man. Is not a bad option. But yeah, it's a pretty good option, 12th man, because you have a lot more options to pick from. I have Harry Kane instead of Neymar. I mean, that's also not bad. He should do well. He's in good form though. Kane is in good form for club, and I mean country also. Country in England haven't been on great form, but you never know. Zodiac, how are you doing? Welcome. Best goal is under 4.5 million. As soon as you ask that, I will lead you straight to what Zodiac kind of suggested in Rochet at 4 million. Should be pretty decent. And then I think there was another 3.5 million goalkeeper, I think, who starts, if I'm not mistaken. Who is he? I think, was he this guy? No. This is Portuguese. I don't remember. Let me sort by selected. There's a 3.5 million keeper, I think. I don't remember who the 3.5 million keeper was. Who would potentially start. But if you're looking for keepers, 4 million, you need to know whether they're going to start or not. That's the only problem. Who is Qatar's? Qatar first game might not be a bad option. Everyone else, I am not really sure. To be honest, some of these Qatar starting keeper is 4.0 as well. There you go. You could probably get the Qatar keeper as well if you wanted to. The thing is, Rhea? Is Rhea in the game? Bro. No, he won't play. Rhea won't start for Spain. Spain's starting keeper, if I'm not mistaken, is Simon. I think this guy is Spain's starting keeper. So Rhea is not going to start. If I'm not mistaken. Someone can correct me. Let me just check. Pope. I don't think Pope will play. Yeah, Unai Simon is Spain's starting keeper. Let me show you. Here we go. This is Spain's team. Unai Simon is Spain's starting keeper. Pope, I don't think he will start. I think Pickford will start instead. You could probably go for the Qatar keeper, who is at 4 million as well. Most of these keepers, even I, to be honest, don't have full knowledge on who will be a pretty good option. What I would do is I would look at this. Here's the one thing with I just realized I haven't swapped. Here's the one thing with the opening game. As far as I'm aware, no host nation has lost the opening game. So I won't be surprised if it's either a 0-0 or it probably won't be a 0-0. But a 1-1 draw between the two also might not be a surprise for me. Is what I would say. Even a 1-0 win to maybe Qatar won't be a surprise. But yeah, the host, that's just one thing to kind of mention. But yeah, in terms of finding budget keepers, there aren't too many. I wish I could kind of like sort this by price. Like if I could like alter the price in FPL, like I can. Can I do like that? Something like that? No, I can't even sort by price. So annoying. Oh, you can sort by price. There you go. Oh, great. Never mind. It switches. But you can play him. Oh, the Qatar keeper. Ian says, thoughts on my team. Diego Costa, Ochoa, Cancelo, Trippier, Dumfries, Sosa, Teles. Teles should probably play as well. Very interesting. I am also very interested by Teles. But I think I'm fine with currently what I have. Musiala, young prospect. Hopefully he does well. De Bruyne, Olsen, Sarabia, Diaz, Katek. Bro, I'm butchering some of these names. Akram, Afif, Messi, and Keane. Ochoa, where does he play? The Mexican keeper. Who are Mexico playing? Portugal. Poland. That's going to be a tough game, Ian. Are you sure you want this keeper? 5 million? Surely you don't need 5 million keepers. I would probably reduce some value from that keeper spot. And also they're playing Poland. That might be a bit of a tricky fixture for Mexico. Maybe you could downgrade somewhere there and improve somewhere else. And also Sarabia. Will Sarabia like get you too many points for Spain? I don't know. 7.5 million. I'm doing one big punt on Qatari striker Akram Afif. He is pretty good. Akram Afif. There was another player that I wrote down for Qatar. Who was it? Let me see if I can find it. It was Almoez Ali, who is also, what was his name? I think there were two main players for Qatar in their midfield, in their forward spots. Why is this not appearing? Bro. Okay, I can't find it. I don't know why. I have Ochoa because he's a beast when the World Cup comes. If you remember the previous World Cup, fair enough. Fair enough. Who would you consider out of these? Foden, Sarabia, Perisic, Musiala. Based on the fixtures, if you were to look at Foden should have a decent fixture against Iran, Spain, against who was Spain playing? I mean, that's also not too bad. Let me actually switch it to this. It's a bit more. Costa Rica isn't too bad. The thing with Sarabia is, will he get? Let me check. Let's switch it to this because this is when it comes to international football, I kind of had to do a lot more research because I'm not aware of some of the players. So Spain in the last few games. Will Sarabia play? He should, right? I don't know. Here we go. Right wing. He hasn't done too much, to be honest. Oh, goal here. Not a bad option. Who was the other one? Perisic will be pretty good. He should be on set pieces. Musiala, I like him as an option, but Germany just have a tough fixture to start off with, which is a bit of a problem. Because I think Germany's first fixture is against Japan. That will be a tough game for Germany, to be honest. They haven't been on great form, but I do like him as well as an option. But at the moment, slightly this thing for Perisic, like kind of leaning towards Perisic. Teles is not predicted to start. I had got Teles as well. I wasn't there at the beginning of the stream. Can you just quickly recap the new rules? Yes. Okay, let's go through the new rules. And also, will you use a 12-man chip this game week? No. then you would save money if you pick someone else over Mbappe and then you use the chip on Mbappe. I am not. So I'm thinking of playing my 12th man chip somewhere in the knockout stages. I haven't decided yet. I just don't want to play it in Matchday 1. I know a lot of people will be playing the 12th man chip in Matchday 1, but yeah, I don't know. Not feeling it. Got 3 goal. Yeah, I just saw from SofaScore. So yeah, Sarabi is not a bad option as well. Okay, let's go through let's go through some of the new rules, right? Just a quick summary of the new rules for people who have just joined. These kind of stuff are kind of like common. Nothing has changed here, but this is where stuff start to change. Unlock players versus lock players. Let me first drink some water. All right, unlock player versus lock player. So basically, the gist of it is, so players will either appear as locked or unlocked. Players display as unlocked when the team they play for is yet to play in the current match day. So for example, and locked players display as locked once the match of the team they play for has begun in the current match day. If a player is locked, you will see a padlock icon against them on both your team and in the player list. Certain actions in the game are either restricted or different depending if they performed against a locked player. For example, transfers. The below section of this game guide will explain these scenarios in more detail. Now, for example, locked versus unlocked. You had Kane in your starting 11 and England were playing Iran. Kane will be locked. Let's say you had Bergwijn in your starting 11 as well, and the England versus Iran game is going on. Bergwijn will be unlocked. Hopefully that is kind of like explained so far. So far, so good. Changing your captain. Now, each match day, the player you choose as your captain will score double points. Well, ultimately, only one player can score double points. You do have the option to change your captain after the match day started according to the following rules. You can change your captain an unlimited number of times between unlocked players, between 2 players who have not played in the current match day. So basically, if you had your captain at the start on, let's say, a Bergwijn, and he hasn't played yet, you can switch it to maybe a Messi if you had a Messi. Or you could even switch it to an Mbappe if you wanted to, because none of these guys have played yet. So you could do something like that. Or, where was I? Or changing your captain after he is locked. You have one opportunity each match day to change your captain after he has locked. However, in this situation, you can only change your captain to a player who has not yet played in the match day. So basically, you had your captaincy on Harry Kane. England are playing Iran. Harry Kane hasn't done anything for the 90 minutes. He didn't score anything. Now you can switch your captain to only one other player, and you kind of have to pick who that one player is. I will read a bit more further and come back to the example, because once you confirm this change, you will not be able to change your captain again during the current match day. So for example, let's look at the example. Player A is selected as captain. They play and score 10 points during the match day, becoming locked. As captain, these points will double to 20. Kind of makes sense so far. You then decide to change your captain to player B, who is unlocked. Once this change has been saved, players A points will return to 10, even though player B is unlocked. You will no longer be allowed to switch captain to another unlocked player, as you've already made a captain change involving a locked player. So, what I'm getting from that is, if you had Kane, you captained Kane didn't do anything, and you wanted to switch, you had Messi and you had Neymar to choose from, or even let's say you had Messi and Mbappe, and let's say you wanted to pick Messi first, and if you pick Messi, you can't switch it to Mbappe next, or you can't switch it to Neymar next, even though Messi hasn't played yet, because already your first captain in Kane had already played and didn't do anything. So that means you have to be confirmed and sure on who you want to captain for that second option. So just to wrap up, Kane plays, Kane doesn't do anything. You switch captaincy, you can switch it only once, even though the player is yet to play or not. So you have to be sure that you want to captain Messi, or you want to captain Mbappe, or you want to captain Neymar, because after that you can't really swap it around to another player, even if the other player hasn't played yet. So that's captaincy. You will not be able to change captain from a locked player while the player's team is currently playing live. Oh yes, that's another thing to mention. Is if Kane is your captain, you cannot swap to another captain until the England versus Iran game is done. So, for example, even for this situation, let's say you had your captaincy first on Messi. You cannot swap it to, let's say, an Mbappe until the Argentina versus Saudi Arabia game is done. Now, for people living in different time zones, you kind of might want to check what time some of the other games are at, because let's say you had it on Messi, and if you were fast asleep before the France game kicks off and you wanted to switch to Mbappe, you can't switch it to Mbappe. So just keep that in mind for anyone in like odd time zones like myself, where games are at 3 a.m., 6 a.m. So keep that in mind as well for some others as well. So that's the captaincy stuff. Substitutions, you can substitute players on your bench, but this is something to kind of keep in mind. Is basically your substitutions will become active in your team and replace a did not play player in your starting 11 automatically only if you have not made any manual substitutions during that match day. Your outfield bench players are prioritized 1 to 3. 1 to 3. With the first priority substitute being the first to replace the did not play player provided it meets a valid formation, similar to FPL. Automatic substitutions will only happen at the end of the match day. Manual substitutions can be initiated by user during the match day. A manual substitution is only when you sub out a locked player from your lineup for an unlocked player from your bench. Similar to captains, you can make unlimited substitutions between unlocked players in the match day, which won't affect your eligibility to receive automatic substitutions at the end of the match day. I'll explain to this what this kind of means. However, you are able to sub out a locked player from your lineup for an unlocked player on the bench. If you do this, you will lose the points for a subbed out player from your team score. That is common. And you will receive the points for a subbed in player. Should make sense. As soon as you confirm a manual substitution, your team will be exempt from automatic substitutions at the end of the match day. Subbed in player provided you still have unlocked player. That's fine. Oh yeah, and you cannot initiate a substitution while the player is playing live. You need to wait for the fixture to conclude before the substitution. Now, what does that mean with regards to substitutions? First one is you had Foden, for example, right? Actually, let me take my team for example. I had Olsen in my team. Sorry, let's say I had Shaw in my team, right? And Shaw gets 2 points, and I'm not happy with the 2 points. And England have obviously played their game. I can't swap Shaw out until England have finished their game. After England have finished the game, I can swap Shaw out for someone on my bench. Let's say, for example, I wanted to bring this guy in because Uruguay play on the Thursday. I can do Shaw to him, which will then mean I have already triggered a manual substitution in that specific case because Shaw has already played. Now, here's where you might want to keep in mind. If, for example, once you've triggered that manual substitution, if any other player in your team doesn't play and you kind of forget to take them off, they won't be automatically substituted because you have already initiated a manual substitution before. Keep that in mind, right? So you have to make sure as soon as you've made a manual substitution, you kind of take on control that you will be managing the team for that match day. However, for example, you had wanted to swap between Olsen and Di Arrascata, butchering his name, but you want to swap between these two and they haven't started a game yet. Both of them haven't played yet. You can swap without any worry about having initiated a manual substitution yet, because that is still not a manual substitution because both players haven't played yet. So hopefully that kind of makes sense with regards to transfers. If that doesn't make sense, please let me know. So if your captain doesn't perform, you can get a new captain who hasn't played. Yeah, so for example, if you captain Kane and Kane didn't perform, you can put the armband to one other person in your team you can't go and transfer someone else in, because that player won't come in because you've already that the player you're transferring out has already played. But I'll get to transfers later. But captaincy, let's say for me, I had it on Messi because Messi plays first. Messi hasn't done anything. I can either swap it to Mbappe or Neymar. I have the option to swap it to either Mbappe or Neymar if I wanted to. If I were to put the armband on Mbappe, I can't swap it to Neymar after, even though Mbappe hasn't played yet. Hopefully that explains the captaincy, and hopefully the substitutions also kind of like I've explained it. The final thing, boosters. I'll talk about boosters. Like wildcard is the only thing we kind of want to talk about. But transfers, you kind of get these are the number of transfers. This hasn't changed. But a few things to consider with regards to transfers is one transfer can be carried over to the next round. So for example, you make only one transfer in match day 1. You'll have 3 transfers in match day 2. Assuming you don't play a wildcard, that is. And obviously, no transfers are carried over from match day 3 to round of 16 because it's unlimited transfers in round of 16. When making transfers, you have 2 options. Transfer an unlocked player for another unlocked player. This transfer will be processed instantly, and your new player will begin scoring points. In your current match day, you will not receive any points this match day for the player you transferred out. So, this is where you kind of can take a punt. Now, let's say this guy was a punt for me, right? And I wait for the Uruguayan team sheet and I see he's not starting. I can transfer him out for Uruguay play against South Korea, which means I have Portugal versus Ghana and Brazil versus Serbia left in terms of games for that match day. I can transfer him out for anyone from those 4 teams, and they will come into effect within match day 1 itself straight away. Because this guy is yet to play, and I've kind of seen the team sheet that he's not starting. That's the first case in terms of transfers. The second case is transfer involving a locked player. If you do this, the transfer will only become active for the next match day. So if your player you transferred out was locked, you will keep the points they earn this match day. If the player you transferred in was locked, but your outgoing player was unlocked, you will still receive the points for your unlocked player when they play in the match day. However, you will not be able to make another transfer involving this player in the current match day. It makes sense. That one kind of makes sense. One final caveat is that users will be unable to transfer out a locked player in match day 3. This is because after match there will be unlimited transfers. Either type of transfer will come out of your current match day allocations. Transfers cannot be reset once they have been confirmed. You will be able to roll over 1 unused free transfer per match day. Now, in terms of transferring locked players, Messi performs. Messi plays. Messi doesn't do anything. If I wanted to swap it to Ronaldo isn't going to come in match day 1 because Messi has already played. Ronaldo will only take effect in match day 2. So hopefully that bit makes sense in terms of transferring a locked player for an unlocked player. Again, you can only make transfers of locked players after the game is done. So I can't transfer Messi out while the Argentina versus Saudi Arabia game is going on. I can only transfer after the game is done or before the game is started. So automatically, once a player has played their match, if anyone on your bench is yet to play, they get auto-subbed. No. So if a player, let's say you haven't touched your bench, right? You don't do any manual substitutions. If someone doesn't play, then they will get auto-subbed based off order of priority. Let's say Olsen doesn't play. Then Kazri is first on my bench. So Kazri will get swapped in for Olsen. This is automatically, right? If I haven't, that is assuming I haven't made any manual substitutions. But let's say, for example, like I mentioned earlier, where Shaw played, Shaw didn't perform. I transferred Shaw out and I put the Uruguayan player in. Then I've made a manual substitution. And then if Olsen doesn't play and I don't do anything, Olsen is still going to remain in my lineup because I've already triggered a manual substitution before. So it was basically on me to make sure that I either bought in Kazri or I bought in Sosa to play instead of Olsen because Olsen wasn't playing. So that manual substitution bit I need to do because I've already done one for that match day. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. Oh yeah, and another thing is match day 1 will start at kickoff, which means as soon as the Qatar versus Ecuador game starts, you basically get your 2 transfers for that match day. And then match day 1 will conclude at midnight on Thursday, 24th November, at which point the game will roll over to match day 2. You will unlock your match day 2 transfer allocations and you can start setting up your team for the next match day. Now, this bit is where I'm kind of confused in terms of playing a booster. Now, you can only play a booster once the tournament begins. You will have the opportunity of 3 available boosters. You will not be able to reverse a booster. Yep, that's fine. You can't reverse it once you've confirmed it. All boosters must be activated before the first fixture in the match day. Right? So, you can't activate a booster before... Sorry, you can't activate a booster after the match day has started. So you need to activate it just before the first fixture. Now, here's something you kind of need to keep in mind is match day 1 will conclude at midnight AST. So you kind of need to convert this and find out what time it is in your time zone. Because you won't be able, if you're playing wildcard in match day 2, I don't think you can click the wildcard button until it's past midnight AST. Because only after that can you click the wildcard button. So at times, I think the window is basically 13 hours between match day 1 and match day 2. You have only a 13-hour window to set up your second wildcard. To set up your wildcard for match day 2. So kind of keep that in mind, because you can't wait for you can't do it in terms of how FPL, where as soon as the game week deadline is passed you can activate a wildcard. You can't do it like that here. You kind of have to wait till completely match day 1 is done, past midnight AST, and then only you can activate your booster. So kind of keep that in mind. I think that is what I'm getting from this. If I'm not mistaken, if I have not read this wrong, that is kind of what I think it is. So yeah, that's basically the rules. Any questions? Scoring system is still the same. Nothing has changed there. Mini leagues, guys, if you haven't joined the mini league, make sure you do so. I've joined a couple mini leagues. If you haven't joined mini league, the league code is VSRYXT7M. I will copy the link and chuck it in YouTube over here in the comments. For anyone who hasn't joined the mini league, make sure to join so. If you want the code as well, I'll just copy the code and put it. That's the code. For anyone who wants to join the mini league, hasn't joined, make sure to do so. There are quite a lot of players already who have joined, so I'm looking forward to seeing more people here who haven't joined yet. Quite a lot of players we got. Very interesting. I didn't know we got so many, but yeah. Make sure to join the mini league if you haven't. Any questions before we call it a day for today? And also because I'm losing my voice. No questions. Doesn't seem like there are any questions. We will have a stream tomorrow as well. I haven't really decided what time I want to stream tomorrow. I probably won't stream just before the match day 1 deadline. I might stream a couple hours a bit more earlier than that. Just because I want to be able to probably sleep and then get up, because it's at 3 a.m. basically, the starting game. Probably get up just to see the opening ceremony and everything. So we might stream slightly earlier tomorrow. And then I'm thinking of actually streaming maybe most of the days during the week as well, before the first game of each day. I haven't decided on that, but yeah, I'm thinking of something like that. How are you planning to use your 2 free transfers? What's the plan? Good question. I haven't completely decided what I'm going to do with those 2 free transfers. I haven't really actually finalized my team as well, to be honest. I'm still open to some tinkering. Um, Again, this is like I said, right? There are potential punts I could take. This guy, I think, could be a punt if he plays or not. I haven't decided on some of the others. I haven't decided really how I'm going to use my 2 free transfers. The idea would be to, if I'm wildcarding in Matchday 2, the idea would be to use my 2 transfers during Matchday 1. To who will I transfer? I haven't decided that yet. You guys might get to know if I'm streaming just before the game starts per day. I don't know. We'll see. Or you might know on Twitter. I haven't decided yet with regards to that. Do you trust Belgium? I saw that they lost to Egypt 2-1 today. Or yesterday. Depends on where you are. But they lost to Egypt, which makes me less trustful of Belgium. The only thing is they have a good game in the first one. It's against Canada. Not a bad game. That's the only reason. Like, I'm like, yeah, I don't mind having De Bruyne. Do I really trust De Bruyne? I don't know. Like, if I didn't have De Bruyne and I wanted to go for another midfielder, I don't know who I would want. Maybe Di Maria? And maybe I upgrade Kazari to someone else better. Like, I could go De Bruyne to maybe a Modric or Di Maria. And maybe I could use the rest of the money also to upgrade him to another 8 million. That's another possibility. But I don't know. I don't really trust Belgium too much after the scene that Egypt scoreline. But then again, I still think De Bruyne should be fine. De Bruyne should be on set pieces and on penalties because Lukaku is still out, I think. Because Lukaku didn't play, right? Batshuayi, he played this game. So maybe De Bruyne for now on set pieces, penalties. So yeah, we'll see. But I don't really trust them completely at the moment. But the group is good. They should qualify. That's what I'm thinking. Who do you think is the best 12th man? Mbappe or Benzema? I would probably go Mbappe. I know Benzema has been on really good form, but I'd probably go Mbappe. Isn't Mbappe on penalties for France? If Mbappe wasn't on penalties for France, he will make sure that he's on penalties for France. So I'll probably go Mbappe. Any further questions? Doesn't seem like it. Alright, guys, if you are new, make sure to hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button as well if you're new. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers before the end of the year. So make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, share this video to friends and family or whoever you know is playing World Cup Fantasy or even Fantasy Premier League. Share the channel, share the video, share the mini league code, get more of your friends involved in the mini league. The code is in the description as well, or even on this video, as you can see at the bottom. Share the mini league to everyone else. And yeah, that's basically it. I'll probably end it here because my voice is actually going. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you for keeping me company. There'll be a lot of people in this chat. So shout out to Zodiac, shout out to Ian, to Aryan, to Big Nose Monkey, Tin, Ruhil, Exusia, and Abdurrahman as well. So shout out to everyone who was involved in the chat and everyone else who is just in the background chilling as well. See you all tomorrow. We will have a stream. I haven't decided the time, but maybe it'll be a couple of hours before the game, obviously, but not completely just before the game. But yeah, I haven't decided yet, but we will have a stream tomorrow. So I use live streaming during the games. Maybe at times, I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking of live streaming at least most of the days before the 9 p.m. before the first game of the match day, before the first game of that specific day. But during the games, I haven't decided yet. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I haven't really decided. This game is very interactive compared to FPL, where a lot of things happen during the week. So we'll see how it goes. I haven't decided. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own